So, Kurt, I want to thank you very much for coming into your synagogue, Edgware and Hendon Reform Synagogue, to speak again about your experiences as a survivor. We've had the chance to hear you before at Yom HaShoah a couple of years ago, and before at the Holocaust Memorial Day commemoration for the entire borough of Barnet. It's really lovely to have this kind of intimate opportunity to speak with you, as I know you are going to be sculpted by Francis Segelman. Kurt, if you haven't met him before, he was born in 1925 in Cologne, in Germany. And Kurt, I'd love to maybe begin by asking you about your childhood in Cologne and what it was like growing up.
Well, I grew up, I suppose one would say normally, as children do here. In a close family, we had a large family in Cologne. I had uncles and aunts, cousins.
Could I ask you, Kurt, when did you know that something was going wrong in Germany? Something was going wrong in Cologne?
May have been 8 years old, 1933, when Jews had to leave ordinary local schools.
Okay.
You had to go to a Jewish school. That was what's happening. People are being segregated. And then at a certain moment, we went to the Jewish high school. I think it was the only grammar type school that was in West Germany.
Right.
And that was my luck, because our headmaster, Dr. Klebanski, he decided after Kristallnacht that one couldn't live in Germany anymore. He tried to transfer the whole school to England.
Wow. So Kristallnacht, do you have a memory of Kristallnacht? So this was,
absolutely.
just for anybody watching who's not clear about it, that was the time at which the synagogues in Germany were attacked by Nazis and other Jewish organizations.
This was the 9th of November. I went to school as usual on my back. And on the corner of our street there was a Jewish shop. Not that I was aware it was Jewish, but it was a big toy shop that I knew of. And when I passed it, I saw there was the plate glass windows had been smashed in, but I assumed there must have been an accident of some sort. It was on the corner of the main road. And I carried on to school. When I got to school, it was a big commotion, fire engine standing there, teachers outside, smoke coming out of the school, and it says, "No school today. Go home, we'll let you know what's happening." The school wasn't burning, but there was a small synagogue next to the school, which had been set alight. And apparently all the equipment out of the school had been thrown out of windows, and there was a shocking mess there. And still, it somehow didn't register what had happened.
Right.
So I decided, well, before I go back home, my uncle was a butcher in Cologne. He had a very, very nice, beautiful shop. I said, I'll go and visit my uncle. But when I got to the shop, it was smashed to smithereens.
Wow.
Absolutely into small pieces. Suddenly I realized there's something not right. First the shop on the corner, then the school, then that. There's something something has happened. We didn't have mobile phones in those days. It was half an hour to get back home. We started school very early, so it was still early in the morning. As quickly as I could, I rode home. When I got home, my father wasn't at home. And apparently he hadn't been at home all night.
Right.
Friends of his, non-Jewish friends, had told him, "Don't be at home tonight. Something is going to happen. We can't tell you what, but it's better if you're not at home." Because during that night, many Jewish men were arrested, taken to the police, locked up, concentration camp, whatever. Didn't come back for a few days, and later when he came back, it was all over in the sense that they weren't arresting anybody anymore.
Were you able to be bar mitzvah, or
Yes.
did Kristallnacht mean it couldn't happen?
I was bar mitzvah on the 10th of September,
Ah,
2 months before Christmas.
2 months before.
Exactly 2 months.
In one of the synagogues in Cologne.
In the synagogue in Cologne, which was a Reform synagogue in my time,
Yes.
which is an Orthodox synagogue today.
Yeah.
It was completely destroyed and rebuilt and looks exactly as I remembered it.
Oh, really?
Yes, it is as it was, as I remembered it. The inside is somewhat different, but the outside is as it was.
You said that you were very fortunate that the head teacher of your school felt we have got to get my students to England. So tell me about coming to England, and I believe you were on the Kindertransport in the formal way, how that was and how that felt.
Well, Krivansky, he's never been really remembered. Nobody has ever heard of him.
Okay.
He brought 130 of his
Wow.
children, his pupils, to England. Some came to. We were the first ones, purely because we had already a year of English. That was the reason why they selected us. One group went to Manchester, another group went to Liverpool, the final group went to Brighton. He came to England, got sponsors, managed to include us into the Kindertransport. I don't know how, but as it was going, and he had organized it.
Were you aware of how difficult this must have been for your parents?
No, not at all.
No.
They were going to America. They had already affidavits, and they were waiting. They had but the Americans, there was a quota. Americans had a quota for every country in Europe. They were on the German quota. They had a quota number. War broke out before their number was called.
Oh my goodness.
So anyway, we were lucky. On the day that we had to get to the station to leave for England, so we were 20 boys and 20 girls,
All right.
same age, parallel classes at the school. For us at that moment, it was more like a school outing.
Right. Yes.
We were going to England. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Together, 20 boys, we all knew each other, we were friends together.
Did you stay together? Were you all did you all go to the same school together, or were you separated to different host
We came
families?
to London, we arrived in Liverpool Street, and people were there waiting for us. And he had managed, our headmaster, head director, had managed to get the Warm Lane Synagogue to be our sponsors.
All right. Now I want to take you a little bit further forwards again.
Yes.
When did you come to understand what had happened in Germany and the depth of the brutality and the murders and just how awful it had been?
It's very strange. When war broke out, it was just before my birthday. War broke out after my birthday. We were evacuated sort of the tail end of August.
Right.
Before war broke out. Most of the children from London were sent all over England. My parents had arranged to telephone me on my birthday,
Right.
which was on the 31st of August. Of course,
That's 1939.
1939.
Wow.
Of course, it never happened because we were not in London anymore.
Right.
And it was, I think, war broke out on the
2nd of September. Yes.
So by that time, there, I don't know if there's any communication possible. Anyway, I didn't get the call. I was evacuated. I wasn't in London anymore. Maybe they did phone, but were told. So I was in England. They were over there. But at that time, I used to get regular letters from them. They used to write to Holland, where we had a cousin, and he would send on the letters to England. And that was how the letters went back and forth. Holland was overrun. Of course, then all communication stopped for a while. But there was an arrangement via, you may probably have seen it, via the Red Cross. They used to send these Red Cross letters, but they were allowed to write 25 words, with including the address. I got to write Red Cross letters till 1942. So it was still, there was still communication. You know, I heard from my parents, always complained I didn't write enough and tell them enough. And in 1942, they were evacuated to Eastern Europe. That was in fact, they were sent from Cologne on the 20th of July 1942.
Right.
On the 19th of July, my father actually wrote this last letter, Red Cross letter that I've still got, that they were leaving. It was in July, sending me my best birthday wishes, telling me to be a good boy, etc., etc. And says, don't forget us. So they knew already.
Oh.
I probably received it in September.
Right.
And we know at that time, of course, we knew nothing. They were killed 3 days later. It could have been, if I had been in it, it would be what happened.
Yeah, but thank goodness your head teacher had realised
Right.
had to get you out.
Absolutely.